What is going on, gunfighters? Welcome to Gunfighter Life, the podcast where we talk about gunfighting while keeping God at the center. God is number one. I hope to recognize that in my life, and everything that I do in this podcast is no different, and I don't apologize for that. Now, one of the things I hope, aside from that you appreciate about this podcast, is we do a good mix here of tactical and practical, from hunting, the latest CCW gear, and I like both those worlds. And a lot of people are either just in the tactical world, the Glock 19 and black rifle world, and I like that world too, or they're only in, the hunting elk cartridge world. Well, I hope you find value in that we cover a wide range of topics here, and that I have been blessed by God to be a Marine Corps combat veteran and urban warfare instructor, and a bunch of other things as you hear in the bio. And I've been blessed to be a PH, a professional hunter, and I've hunted to put food on the table ever since I was a boy. Talk about both those worlds and hopefully blend those well together, because if you're into survival, and I am, and I don't apologize for that either, that denotes two things that predominantly guns are useful for: food procurement and defending oneself. And like I said, we kind of do both those things here. And I hope you appreciate that. If you do, if you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, consider scrolling down and just hitting some stars. It's an easy way to help out the podcast. I don't often mention this, but if you're listening on YouTube, kind of just put this on YouTube as an afterthought. Go check us out on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe to Gunfighter Life. With that, I'll plug in the bio. Skip around 3 minutes and 45 seconds from here if you've already heard it or don't care. Who am I? A question we should all ask ourselves. I am, first and foremost, a servant of God, made in His very own image, a follower of Jesus Christ, a simple man called by God to the Great Commission to share the good news of Jesus Christ. Next, a little bit about my background and what God has allowed me to do and blessed me to do in life. Grew up what most would consider very poor in the backwoods of the southeastern and mid-Atlantic United States, hunting and fishing. Joined the Marine Corps at 17. Did a couple of combat tours in Iraq. So a decorated Marine Corps combat veteran. Infantry assaultman. After the combat tours, I was an urban warfare instructor for the United States Marine Corps under Mojave Viper. I also served in the U.S. Army, both full-time and part-time National Guard. Also a veteran of law enforcement. I served with LAPD. I was a sworn peace officer, a cop for LAPD. I worked regular patrol assignments and more specialized assignments. One of those more specialized assignments was warrant service, fugitive recovery. Also had some other law enforcement roles. I am an FBI certified firearms instructor and been certified by another 3-letter government agency in a lot of firearms and training things. I've also been a private contractor, worked in the private sector pertaining to tactics and gunfighting and protecting America from enemies foreign and domestic. I served as the commander of a tactical team to stop active shooters in a large metropolitan area. That was our primary mission, to stop active shooters, which sadly are a thing in America today. I've also been blessed to do quite a bit of competition shooting. Started my first formal competitions even before joining the Marine Corps at 17. I had won more shooting competitions than I can remember. I have competed in all manner of disciplines in shooting. I've been blessed to be a state rifle and pistol champion, West Coast regional champion. Like I said, been blessed to win more shooting competitions than I can remember. Mentioned hunting. I've hunted to put meat on the table starting when I was a child. I've also been a professional big game hunter and guide, hunting and slaying all manner of beast. And I don't apologize for that. Humbled to be the host of 3 podcasts. Simple Man Sermons, Alpha Male Podcast, and Gunfighter Life. Obviously, as things not mentioned, I've been blessed to do many other things. But, again, first and foremost, I'm a servant of God, a believer and follower of the Bible, the Word, Jesus Christ. And I don't apologize for that. With that, let's transition into today's topic. Alright, men, let's get into the day's topic. Let's talk about the 375 Winchester. Forget about the 277 Fury. It's all about the 375 Winchester. Very obscure, very niche cartridge from the past that many people don't know about. But if you're like me, you like guns and you kind of like those kind of cartridges. This is one such cartridge. Think of it as the Winchester 94 Dragoon. Or perhaps a good way to picture it, if you've listened long enough, you know that I like the 35 Remington. Think of it as the 35 Remington's big brother. The one that beats up the kids that maybe the 35 Remington can't quite handle yet. The 375 Winchester. Now give credit where credit is due. I'm going to read to you from the Hornady Reloading Manual that I normally read from if you're familiar with these. The 375 Winchester, new in 1978, was introduced by Winchester in a heavy-duty version of their Model 94 lever-action rifle. A beefed-up 94 would surely catch the eye of enough lever-action fans to ensure a following, especially the new cartridge designed for it. This Winchester round yields ballistics comparable to the 35 Remington. The 375 is a fine choice for deer and black bear at short range and in heavy cover. The 375 Winchester case is only slightly shorter than the old 3855 Winchester round, but under no circumstances should 375 Winchester cartridge be fired in a 3855. Working pressures of the 375 Winchester greatly exceed those of the 3855. So you can kind of just picture there. Picture the big bore Winchester 94. Now, I like the Winchester 94, and I don't own one. I kind of wish that I did. Again, I'm not a gun collector. If you've listened to this before, I'm a gun fighter. I love hunting, but I have a few hunting rifles. I kind of like the continuity between platforms, and I'll be honest, I'm not really a lever action guy. I like them a lot. I really like the 35 and 37 caliber rounds, but I don't own one. But I still think this is really cool. If you've ever handled, the Winchester lever action 94 type or 92 type carbines, they are just a spot and stalk hunter, wood hunter's kind of dream carbine. I think they are fantastic. And I like that kind of hunting. If you have listened, you'll know that I'm a big spot and stalk hunter. I like that kind of hunting. I like the art and the field craft of hunting that way. I'm not big on hunting with computers, hunting with laser range finders, hunting with giant scopes on giant rifles. I like sneaking through the forest with light handy rifles. I even like hunting with handguns. I like archery hunting. I like that kind of hunting, the field craft, the stealth. And this would be a fine choice for that, especially certain niche applications or niche applications, however you want to pronounce that word. Don't really care. This is not vocabulary life. This is gunfighter life. But those applications would be something like maybe some dense woods of Maine. You have a little bit bigger animals. How about the thick quakies, the dense aspens, thick willows and creek bottoms in Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, or where I am now, the rainforests, the thick, dense green forests of coastal Oregon, where shots are most likely going to be close, and the animals can be quite big. I just saw a beautiful herd of elk yesterday, and I was within, forget yards, feet of them. Now, if you've listened, you know I routinely live off-grid to keep the cost of living down to get these podcasts out to you guys. I wasn't even hunting. I was literally going down to the creek for something, the creek where we got water and things like that. And my Rhodesian Ridgeback ended up treeing a bear that was right there that I wasn't even aware of. Talking, again, could be measured in feet. Instances like that, those kind of instances, you know, a Winchester 94 Dragoon would be just fine. You're talking about the classic iconic Winchester 94, which we generally think of as 30-30. But like it said in this article, beef that up. Get that thing eating its Wheaties, pumping some iron, and you get the 375 Winchester. So what is it akin to? They compared it here to the 35 Remington, but even in their own manual, I looked up this compared to the 35 Remington, and it's quite a big step up from the 35 Remington, and I love 35 Remington. But let's first compare it to the 30-30. And I'm going to go apples to apples here. I'm going to talk, the next little bit is going to be from the same Hornady reloading manual. Now this reloading manual, the heaviest loading in the 30-30 is going to be a 170 grain bullet at 2,200 feet a second. And that's a max load for this. For this manual. You can probably find some hotter loads. But we're talking 170 at 2,200. Now, the 375 Winchester, again, I said it was kind of an obscure cartridge. This reloading manual has one and only one grain weight for this, and that is the 220 grain. But it's going at 2,300 feet a second. So it's not only faster, it's a 220 grain versus a 170 grain. If you're familiar with ballistics, those numbers are quite substantially different. That's quite a bit hotter. 220 at 2,300, that is no slouch. That's a hammer. The 35 Remington, which I really, really like. I don't own one of those either, but I really like the 35 Remington. I would really like a Marlin or even a Winchester and 35 Remington in stainless steel. I don't know if they ever made one, but if you know that they did, you ought to let me know about that. Leave a comment or a review or something, because I'd love to know that they made a 35 Remington in stainless. I know they made the 30-30 versions, the same rifles in stainless, at least in the Marlin. I've never seen or heard of a 35 Remington in stainless, but that would be a great gun for the kind of hunting I do. So you'll know that I love the 35 Remington. So let's look at its ballistics. You're talking a 200 grain bullet is the heaviest in this manual. A 200 grain bullet at 21. It's not bad. It's good. But again, we were looking at a 220 grain bullet at 23. It's both heavier and faster by quite a degree of margin. Not like a few feet a second, not like single digits or even double digits on the velocity side, and quite a big step up in grains. Talking 200 to 220, that's heavier. 21 to 23, that's faster. I think that would be a fantastic choice, again, for hunting black bear, for hunting elk in thick vegetation. Again, kind of that Winchester 94 Dragoon. When you do things that would be great to be done with a Winchester 94 or a Marlin 336, but you just want more power. Imagine you're doing the kind of hunting we talked about. You're a spot and stalk or a still hunter. You're in the wilds of Montana, in those thick willow creek bottoms. You have your rifle for the season. You want to hunt mule deer, and elk. Now picture you're doing that. You start hearing the elk bugling, you get excited, and you move a little bit faster than you should. You're carrying that lever-action rifle by the receiver. You come out of that thick willow on that creek bank where you can see a little bit more, and you startle a grizzly bear. Do you want to be holding Winchester 94 and 30-30? Or do you want the lever gun to be in 375 Winchester? I think the 375 Winchester for situations like this. Again, not every situation. Again, we said in the beginning, this is a niche cartridge and kind of obscure. But for something like that, I'd rather have it in my hand. A big, heavy slug at respectable velocities. Penetration, power, terminal performance. Now, you're probably not getting into this cartridge unless you are a hand loader or you just happen to have one of these passed down or you get a super deal on one from a buddy that's selling it. If you're going to run this cartridge, you're probably going to reload for it. Or perhaps you have a buddy that reloads and you can buy him the dies. Or, never mind, that might be illegal. You buy the dies and go over to his house and reload your own ammo. And it's not like you're going to be, taking a tactical training class with the 375 Winchester. You're probably going to need a couple of boxes a year to practice with and a few rounds a year to actually take game with. So once you have the brass and everything, reloading for this is not prohibitively more expensive than a lot of other things. 375 caliber bullets are not uncommon. They're not common like 9mm, but the 375 H&H and things like that, 375 Ruger, ensure that they're not obscure. If you have the 375 Winchester brass, if you have the rifle, those are the hardest things. The bullets and the powder and stuff are not crazy hard to get. So I guess in culminating all this together, if you like classic lever guns, if you like that kind of Americana, if you like big bore rifles, if you like up close, down and dirty, spot and stalk or still hunting, or hunting in dense cover however you like to hunt, where a long shot is, 100 yards or 200 yards, and you reload or have somebody that has the equipment where you can buy the dies and reload, this might be a pretty cool cartridge. You might find a good deal on this when everybody's clamoring for, AR-15s and AKs and Glock 19s. Might be able to trade one of those dime a dozen kind of weapons for classic, elegant, big bore lever action rifle like this. And it's not like they're making any more of these, and I don't think they're going to anytime soon. So if you got one, it would be a pretty cool thing to be able to have and hunt with, and perhaps, if you're blessed enough, pass down to future generations. And I'm not a collector, I'm a gunfighter, this is gunfighter life, but I love hunting. I would be very confident in the kind of hunting that I do pretty much anywhere with this cartridge. With that, I want to say thanks for listening to this episode of Gunfighter Life. Again, if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, please scroll down, hit some stars. Easy way to support. If you're listening to this on YouTube, and I kind of put it on YouTube as an afterthought, it's literally a button that I click. These are audio, meant to be listened in audio format. So check out podcasting. I'd be honored if you come out and check out mine on any of those other platforms. iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, pretty much the vast majority of places I know of where you can listen to podcasts. If you really want to support or you want more, go to goodshepherdtraining.com. Again, that's goodshepherdtraining.com. At least check out the website. There's ways to support on there. If you like this content, I'd appreciate that. As a thank you for staying tuned, tactical tip of the day. Tactical tip of the day. This is not a tip specific to lever actions, but it is a good hunting tip. Even if you don't spot and stalk hunt, but especially if you spot and stalk or still hunt. Don't just care about the boots, how they look on the outside, if they're waterproof or not, whatever brand they are. That stuff, I'm not saying it's not important, but feel the bottom of the soles before you buy them. You would be surprised the difference in noise when you're trying to stalk up on an animal in the kind of environment where you're so quiet it seems like you breathing is a rock concert when everything is still and quiet. You're trying to sneak up on that animal. You'd be surprised how much quieter one sole on a boot can be from another. One thing to consider is turning that boot over before you buy it and pressing on it with your fingernail, with your thumbnail, seeing how much give it has. That could very well mean the difference between walking up and harvesting an animal, stalking up on it, or being just a little bit out of range and because your sole is a little bit too hard cracking that stick under your feet and that animal's gone. As happens with many a spot and stalk hunt. And that's going to bring us to the tactical verse of the day. It's coming at you from Revelation 22. Behold, I am coming quickly, and my reward is with me, to give to everyone according to his work. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are those who do his commandments. Revelation 22. As much as I like guns and hunting and obscure cartridges and modern cartridges, don't let that be in the center of your life. The center of your life belongs to God. That's his rightful place. You shall have no other gods before me. Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. God is. One day, we will face judgment. That's what the Bible says. Keep in mind what's really important in life. With that, men, thanks for listening. By God's grace, I will interact with you again soon. Be blessed.